The signature project model became ingrained really in the culture at DLA Piper several years ago. And probably, gosh, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, we decided to step back and really take a look at what we were doing across the firm with a real desire to be more strategic in the way that we were doing pro bono and a desire to have an even greater impact on the communities where we work and live. And decided that developing that model made a lot of sense. In part because we were able to involve lawyers across practice groups oftentimes and really systematically go out and interview legal service providers in the community to really find out what were the real issues that they are seeing every day in the trenches, acknowledging that we don't really know because we're not in the trenches and we're in a law firm, to try to make better decisions on where we should really focus our time and energy. And it's turned out to work really well because we are able to build a real sense of teamwork among lawyers, as I said, across practice groups, as well as our staff, because there are some issues where we're able to do pro bono work as well as more CSR-related work that's non-legal, but yet focused on the same issue. So a great example of that may be our focus on fighting hunger across the United States. And in that case, we represent local food banks with regard to their nonprofit legal needs locally across the country, as well as representing Feeding America, which is the national food banking umbrella, and then helping Feeding America create the global food banking network to bring that model to other countries across the world. And our staff, along with our attorneys, also volunteers at the food banks by feeding people, sorting food, and doing that sort of thing. So that's worked really well. It's a great question to ask, how do we support signature project work while also supporting our other pro bono work? People often ask me that, how do we do both, or can we do both, or does one take away from the other? And the answer is no. The signature projects really are a way to supplement and to go deeper with our pro bono work. And oftentimes, signature projects are born out of the fact that many people in a particular office or region are doing that kind of pro bono work anyway, and we want to really take it to the next level, if you will, and leverage that experience. So they don't take away from one another. We encourage all attorneys to do whatever pro bono work they feel passionate about. But at the same time, signature projects allow us to really focus, to leverage experience, to go deeper, to have an even greater impact on the community. But they're in addition to everything else. The advantages to having a signature project are many. One, you're able to bring people together in a way that just doing one-off pro bono matters doesn't always allow for. So oftentimes our signature projects, we staff them with attorneys across practice groups, often across offices. We have a couple of national signature projects, and it's a wonderful way for us to integrate the firm. DLA Piper is a large firm, and oftentimes working on signature projects on a pro bono basis allow people to come together. So that's a great advantage. Another advantage is our ability to leverage our experience so that our attorneys can learn from one another and not feel like they're continually reinventing the wheel or learning something new for the first time. So maybe that first generation of lawyers who focused on special education cases can then mentor and supervise the next group of lawyers that does that, and then it kind of feeds on each other. And we've really been able to develop some areas of expertise over time. One example of that would be our juvenile justice work that started in Chicago, and we now have national representation on ABA committees devoted to juvenile justice and are often contacted to draft amicus briefs to the Supreme Court surrounding issues of juvenile justice, and continue to do that work across the firm. I guess a challenge that signature projects pose would be the amount of management and oversight that sometimes they require in terms of developing them. We really believe that certainly the quality of our pro bono work is much more important than the quantity of the work, and so in developing a signature project, you have to take time to really do your due diligence to make sure that this is a project that makes sense for your firm, that is something that everybody's going to be interested in, and is something that is addressing an issue in the community that that demands or calls out for the kind of resources that a firm like DLA Piper or any other large firm can devote to that. So that project development and then management work takes time and resources. I think with our signature project model, we're not hopping around from topic to topic. In fact, the signature project model really helps us go deep and devote significant time to a particular issue. So, for example, our signature projects last at least 2 or 3, sometimes even more additional years at a time. And so because of that, we recognize that many of the issues that we're looking at and trying to have an impact on are issues that demand a long-term commitment to addressing. So, for example, one of our national signature projects right now is helping improve educational outcomes for our children across the U.S., and that's a long-term investment. That's not something that's going to take a few months to solve. And the nonprofits that we're working with, and the foundations and our corporate clients and the other stakeholders that we've really been able to engage on this, they really understand that, and something that we're very proud of, because I think signature projects really aren't the flavor of the month. They're something that the firm is making a long-term investment in. So when we develop signature projects, it's really it's a process that takes several months. So oftentimes it'll take us 6 months or more to develop a signature project before we're ready to announce it internally at the firm as well as externally. And part of that process is making sure that it's a project that our attorneys are going to feel good about and really want to spend time addressing. So we often survey our attorneys. After we interview legal service providers and academics and leaders in a community, we'll often then present the 2 or 3 issues that really came to the forefront through that process to our attorneys and our employees and say, these are really the issues where we think we could have a bigger impact if we had a signature project. What is your reaction? How do you feel about that? And one of the most fulfilling things, certainly, about my job and this process is what you learn about people on a real personal level when you go through that. And you learn that there are many people at the firm that are affected by education, for example, or have children who have special needs, and it's something that they feel personally very strong about. And so we learn those things about our people, and then that helps drive our decisions. We have decided on signature projects in part based on our history as a law firm. We're a relatively young law firm, but we also have a very rich history of pro bono and of focusing on various issues. And so, if anything, we try to learn about what our people have been interested in for some time and then work to take that to the next level. So, for example, our firm's focus on fighting hunger and being involved with food banks, that has existed for decades. But certainly the Global Food Banking Network is relatively young organization that we helped create. So we've been able to take the interest of our attorneys and really expand upon that and grow that and take it to the next level. Another way that we have really decided on our signature projects is, again, by investing in our people and learning about what their interests are, combined with what are the issues that, either based on our skills or our relationships, where we think that we really can have an impact. And another example of that is education. Personally, there have been great rewards from using the signature project model to develop pro bono work. One of the things that I think I get some of the greatest satisfaction of is seeing our attorneys come together and work as a team and to really feel passionate about making a difference for our clients, and to see people coming together across practice groups, across offices, who never before maybe would have met each other or certainly worked together, come together on something, whether it's helping children or working on issues of access to justice or fighting hunger. It's really satisfying to see that and to see that transformation that happens for people personally when they take on this pro bono work.